The OKC Thunder are coming off an NBA championship and have just locked down their three superstar players to maximum long-term deals while also managing to avoid the CBA's new rules that are trying to prevent dynasties and creating more parity in the league, especially avoiding the second apron. I'm Coy Camiscioli for Philly Sports Talk here. I'm going to break down how the Thunder's front office has managed to avoid these new rules and just how good they have been in the past couple of years. So, I'm also going to discuss if I think this could be our next dynasty in the NBA. But first, I'll talk about the contracts. So the most recent one, Jalen Williams, a 5-year max rookie contract worth $287 million. It's a great deal. It's a great deal for both sides. Jalen Williams has just been an absolute stud. He's up there with the caliber of players like Jaylen Brown and other guys. He's not like, I wouldn't say he's as flashy as Jaylen Brown. I think that's why some people might not think he's, the caliber of those kind of players. But I'll tell you right now, I'd rather have Jalen Williams than Jaylen Brown or some other guys that are up for debate as of now. And I'm not trying to throw shade at the Celtics. I think Brown is an elite player. But that's just been one of the Twitter debates I've seen recently on who you would take. I think Jalen Williams is unbelievable. He can do everything. Excellent defender, excellent player on offense, can shoot the ball, can get to the rim. This is a great deal for the Thunder and a great second option for them in the long term. Along with that, Chet Holmgren was recently signed to a 5-year max rookie contract extension worth $250 million, and he's one of the best big men in the league. He had some question marks coming into the league, especially with his injury history, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But he lived up to the hype, especially down the stretch this season for the Thunder. Also one of the best rim protectors that we've seen in this league for a little while now, and it paid dividends down the stretch for the Thunder. And then obviously Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he got the bag after such a historic season. 4-year, $285 million contract extension, which was the most AAV per year of all time until Devin Booker signed his extension recently with Phoenix. That was a 2-year, $145 million extension. But regardless, they locked down these three big-time players, and this core is going to be around for a long time. They have a total of $877.21 million devoted already from this offseason, and $822 million to these three players alone. So the crazy thing about this is, and we're seeing it so often right now, teams with the new CBA rules are being heavily affected, especially by the second apron, from salary cap purposes, especially from players that they did not draft. And once you get into that second apron, basically there's punishments for your franchise. And you're going to have to trade guys. We're seeing it right now with the Boston Celtics. They had to trade Kristaps Porzingis. They had to trade Jrue Holiday. And they've had to do a lot of different moves that, 1 year ago we were talking about them being the potential dynasty. And honestly, they may have been a Jason Tatum injury away this season from going back-to-back. We won't know. But they have been hit hard by it. And the whole purpose, again, of the CBA rules is to try and prevent dynasties, create more parity in the league. And that's why we've had 7 or 8 or so different winners in the last 7 or 8 years. I forget which number it is. But the funny thing is, the Thunder have managed to avoid those rules, and they were not going to have to deal with the second apron in a few years. When these contract extensions are expected to kick in, it is expected the Thunder to have $17 million in cushion once they go into effect. And this is where the Thunder's front office has done a great job, because they have a lot of contracts that they could dump and get off of easily once those long-term contract extensions kick in, such as Isaiah Hartenstein's. He's a $28.5 million team option when those extensions kick in. So they could easily decline that option, dump more money. They won't have to, they'll get to avoid the second apron. Hartenstein's a great player, but he's mainly a guy that's been he's a bench player, a very good bench player. Again, he was a great player for the Knicks on the starting lineup last year, and he was a pivotal piece of their championship team this year. But the matter of the fact is, he is a bench player. It's $28.5 million they can dump off of him. They might have to get rid of some other players along the way, but with their young talent combined with how many draft picks they have in the near future, this almost feels like a video game. And they can just hand out this money to their stars because of how well they have drafted. They drafted Chet Holmgren. They drafted Jalen Williams. Obviously, they didn't draft Shai, but they got him in a trade early on in his career from the Los Angeles Clippers in that Paul George trade. And this is going to allow them to keep their young core, and all those draft picks allows them to keep young, good, effective players on rookie and rookie and cheap deals. And the analogy that I could put into it is it's really like the Philadelphia Eagles of football. And I'm not going to glaze as a Philadelphia sports fan, but they really are similar. Both teams are coming off championships, and they've locked up their long-term studs, and guys like Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith for the Eagles, to say the least. And obviously the Thunder, Shea, Chet, Jalen Williams. They lock up their long-term players. They are going to have to let go of guys like C.J. Gardner-Johnson like the Eagles have, and in a couple years, Thunder probably going to have to get rid of Hartenstein or maybe even a couple other guys. But they have such an influx of draft picks that they just keep bringing in young talent on rookie deals that are cheap, and it keeps the team as a young core and a good, effective team. And it's really it's genius. It really is, because it's also just credits how well the Thunder have drafted in recent years. Same thing as the Eagles. They've done a great job. So, the whole question now is, could they be the next dynasty? And usually that word is thrown around often after a team wins a championship. We said it last year with the Celtics. We talked about it with the Nuggets the year before, after Jokic had a pretty historic season. But listen, as much as I credit Thunder's front office, and I don't think they're done winning championships with this core. I think this core is unbelievable, and I think they're going to win at least one more. But with the way the league has been set, even with the fact that the Thunder have put themselves in the best possible chance out of the last decade or so, well, not decade, because now we're with the Warriors now. Injuries are a thing. Chet Holmgren, he actually missed most of the season. I think 50 plus games with his injuries. One little injury could alter the season for the Thunder. And then all of a sudden, you have what the Celtics had, in which they had to blow it up. But the Thunder won't have to blow it up. But the Thunder, obviously, if they're missing a guy, they probably won't go back to back. The West is also really stacked. And I think we're also forgetting that the Nuggets push the Thunder to 7. And I do think that the core that the Nuggets have put around Nikola Jokic now is a lot better than this past season. And I think it's a core that could definitely stop the OKC Thunder from going back to back, at least out of the West. We see the Rockets with the Kevin Durant trade. They look very good right now. The Wolves, they made back-to-back Western Conference Finals. Who knows what the Mavericks are going to be? Obviously on paper, their roster's good. But obviously Kyrie is still rehabbing from his ACL injury. It's harder than ever to repeat, but the OKC Thunder had put themselves in the best possible chance. And in last year, we said the same thing about the Celtics, but the matter of the fact is, they didn't draft Kristaps Porzingis. They didn't draft Drew Holiday. They didn't draft some of those players, and they had to avoid that second apron because they weren't on those rookie max contract deals or whatever rookie deal it may be. The Thunder, they have these guys on those deals, and they have managed to completely avoid the second apron. So all credit goes to the Thunder's front office, and again, this is the best chance we'll see at a potential NBA dynasty under the new CBA rules, because it's insanely impressive the fact that they've been able to just completely avoid it. And it is so similar to the Eagles with Howie Roseman. There's a lot of correlation there, but it's really tough. If I had to put a bet on it, I don't think the Thunder go back to back. I just think, one injury away. And listen, we hate injuries for everybody. I'm a Sixers fan. I've dealt with injuries my whole life. Chet's been injury prone at times. Shea seems pretty reliable. Same thing with Jalen Williams, but you just never know what happens. Plus, the West is so stacked, anything could happen. But again, this is the best chance the Thunder, or the best chance any NBA team has had under these new rules to go back to back. And all credit goes to that front office. It is unbelievable what they have done to avoid the CBA new rules and just to build such a good young core. And they're not done winning. I do think they're going to win more championships. Just, I don't know if it'll be back to back. So they do have a chance to become a dynasty. I'm debating right now if 3 rings is a dynasty or 4 is a dynasty. I think I'd say 3 is a dynasty. 4 is 1,000% a dynasty, but it's so tough to win 3 rings with one core of players on a team. So I don't know. I'm still debating on that, but we'll see. That by the way, that reminds me, I do have a podcast in the works right now, the heaviest reigns of the past decade. So meaning like the most meaningful reigns, most like the best like underdog stories. And I'll do it between the NBA, MLB, and NFL. I don't, unfortunately, know enough about hockey. I love to watch it, but I just can't talk about hockey since I don't have the knowledge on it. So that should be an interesting podcast. But again, that's going to do it for this one. Excellent job to Thunder's front office. They're coming off an NBA championship. And I am so impressed with what they've done. And it's just like the Eagles. It really is. So If more NBA free agency news comes out, I'll continue to break it down. But the Thunder, I give my hats off to them. Seriously. Thank you guys for listening.